A lot of Americans that are born here and grew up in this entitled world that are complaining about how bad US is now. Yeah, US is so bad that I fucking left my own country, gave up my own citizenship to become a US citizen. That's how bad US is. I ordered a new MacBook.
Oh yeah,
like 2 weeks ago. But it's not going to be here till like July, August.
Wow.
Like, cause like my computer is slowly dying, and I can hear it.
Like the fan, you can hear the fan. Like,
Yeah.
shh. Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is your computer?
The fan is always on. It's pretty old. Maybe 3 years old.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's time to get a new one.
Yeah.
Like with the rate of technology, things I feel like in like 6 months are outdated. And it's like, oh, okay. That version, it's just so fast. You used to be able to go like 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah.
And now the rate is
that's like there's like a mathematical law for that, right? How technology grows.
Oh, I don't know that law, but I believe you.
Yeah, it's like it's something like the speed of the processor doubles every 2 years, and like something about the size too. And that's how they figure out that at the rate that we're going now, we're gonna surpass like there's gonna be one computer that's smarter than a computer is gonna be smarter than one human. And then there's gonna be a point when the computer is smarter than like all of human collectively.
Wow.
At the rate that we're moving.
That's terrifying and kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, but I just feel like, you know how people say, I feel like Elon Musk has been saying that self-driving cars are going to be on the road like for years now. He's been saying that in a couple of years, like, but you know, like self-driving cars, people have been talking about for about a decade now, and you still don't see it in the street, right? Like it's still far away.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because, I mean, there's few reasons, but because a lot of these technology things, like once you like roll up your sleeve and get your hands in there and start working with it, it turns out to be a lot more complex than you thought. And the second thing is, so first thing is that doesn't matter what the technology is, once you go into it, there's actually three factors. One, that once you go into it, it's like, holy shit, this is a lot more complex than I thought. And then two is like the societal, it has nothing to do with technology. It has to do with adoption and how humans feel about it, right? Like if a self-driving car hit a 6-year-old girl and killed a 6-year-old girl because it made the decision to save 3 people in the car rather than save the 6-year-old child that's walking on the street by avoiding, let's say, something, right? And the computer actually like logically made the right decision, right? Because it saved 3 humans over 1 human. But will humans be okay with that? Are humans okay with Tesla making that decision?
Right.
That's the second part. That's why, like, no matter how good the technology is, and even if we make it, will people accept it? That's the second part. And then there was one more.
Yeah, what's the third? I don't think that humans want to relinquish the control. I don't know that I feel that might fall into the
you mean that's not really a problem?
No, I think no. I do think it's a problem, but like for me, the reason why I would not
as a driver, you mean?
As a driver, like I don't trust this computer, and I think it ties into your second one. Like I don't trust this computer to
as a pedestrian.
As a driver,
I guess it doesn't matter as a pedestrian or as a driver.
As a driver, yeah. Like I don't know what your decisions are. You're not letting me know what your decisions are. I don't feel like I mean, I don't even trust Michael to drive, let alone like a computer.
I mean, that's completely logical, though.
Like I
I mean,
just I
you fly in an airplane, you have zero control over. I mean, like most planes are
yeah, but I
self
can't do
driving.
it. I can't fly an airplane. So I need to trust
I
someone
know,
that
but you're
is better.
I know, but you're. I'm just saying that you're willing to give up control. It's not your. It's not the control that's the problem, is what I'm saying. Because you
Okay.
are willing to give up the control for other
Yes.
things.
Yes. For other things. Yeah.
Because I think for you, I think you'll easily accept it once it comes out and it's been tested and it's been proven. I think
Yeah.
you're the type of person that will accept it. Because I think there's going to be two camps, right? Just like abortion. Like
Mhm.
there's going to be the people that are because it's actually safer. There's going to be
No, yeah, I'm sure.
less car accident related death per year. But the difference is in one scenario, there's a lot of car death caused by human decisions. So you have specific humans to blame, drunk
Mhm.
drivers or whatever it is, right? On the other hand, you have much less death, but there's nobody held accountable. No, it's nobody's fault. There's nobody to blame except the machine. That's
Yeah.
the only difference. So
Yeah, no, it's
I
true.
think a lot of people will be completely okay with, like me, okay, I don't need to find anyone to blame. If we can have less car related accidents every year,
Yeah.
let's go with that. And if my family happened to be the one who died from a car accident that's caused by a car, by an AI, then that's something I'm gonna have to live with. You know what I mean? Because overall it makes a logical choice. But there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be against that. A lot of religious people, most likely.
I like how you like snuck that in there.
Because like religious people
Oh
always think
man.
like, are you playing God? Like with like with the whole like
Oh yeah.
the human genome like sequencing and stuff like that. Like you know, like, I mean, it's just a different skills, right? Like I think they're just like a less extreme version of, for example, like like Amish people were so religious or whatever for whatever reason they wouldn't even adapt technology, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
you go a little bit, less extreme. Like at the end of the day, like there's a lot of Christians that are not willing to adapt certain progressive things because they're still living in so that's no different than what Amish people are doing. It's just not as extreme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Yeah. I see what you mean. I know. No, I feel like there's all they're gonna always find something bad. It's like if it doesn't suit them, I feel like that it's just like a if it doesn't fit
Yeah,
in what they want to like if I don't know. It's probably a bold thing to say, but I feel like if driving driverless cars, self-driving cars served some underlying uh
agenda.
agenda, yeah, thank you, then they would be all in. But
Ah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like
I
because
actually think that's good
technology and
though.
stuff.
I actually think because most um I guess like world problems get solved not by people trying to solve it, but as like a side effect of something else. Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
as an unintended consequence. So that's why I think it's good that okay, maybe there's some underlying agenda or something like that that these guys are going for, but that helps us push through the automated like self-driving cars. Then so be it. Like by all
Yeah.
means necessary, right? Like because here's what happened. I think in like the early 20s in Seattle or in Oregon, there was a problem with beavers going extinct. So all the humanitarian, all the like environmentalists were like, we gotta save the beavers, and did all of that shit. None of it worked, right? People still kept hunting the beavers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because at that time the beaver hats were really in popular, and And then there
Yeah.
was like a fashion trend that came along where beaver hats weren't popular anymore. It was more about like the silk hats and like these fancier hats, right? And this fashion trend made it so that there's no need to kill beavers anymore, and then the beavers didn't go extinct. But it was a
Gotcha.
completely unintended consequences. Like the best
Yeah.
way to fix world problems, fix like nonprofit, like is not through nonprofit. It's actually through capitalism. Like that is a perfect example of how capitalism fixed an
The
environmental problem.
extinction. Yeah. The
Yeah, because
ext-
people wanted this fashion. You know what I
right.
mean?
And then they didn't anymore.
Yeah, and they wanted this new fashion.
New
So if you
fashion.
want to
Yeah.
change, yeah, that's what I mean. If you want to be a, a animal rights activist, design a design a fashion brand that will make leather uncool.
Uncool. There
Do
you
you know what I
go.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
not by going protesting. That's not how you fix it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. But I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think there are a lot of like medicinal
Same
discoveries.
thing, right?
Same
Yeah.
things have happened. They're trying to solve one problem and then they inadvertently, uh,
Accidentally,
yeah, they're able to solve
or they
something
try
else in
to
the
make
process.
money doing
Yeah.
this, and they accidentally cure this or something like that.
Right. I don't know if like the Oxy cotton that would
Probably
not,
not pharmaceutical companies though.
no, not pharmaceutical
They're
companies.
probably
Cause I'm
just after
like,
the profits.
they were just after the profit. Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes, like being after the profit is how you fix. Like, just think about it, right? Like, I know that everybody's against Facebook and Twitter right now, but just think about the amount of world change that Facebook and Twitter affected. Like,
mhm,
there's been like two overthrown governments, right? Like, and like around, like maybe not in the United States, but Facebook and Twitter was like an extremely important platform for some of these like countries that are like under like authority power to like revolt, right? They use that as a
mhm.
tool. So it's, yeah. Oh, I forgot. Oh yeah, that happened out of capitalism. That happened because Facebook was trying to make money and
Money.
Twitter
Yeah.
was trying to make money.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's some good to
They just want
be
more users.
like, come on, more ads. They want you to buy more ads. I don't know. Does Twitter sell ads? They do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, Also, side note, the beaver story got me thinking about this. One of the things about you that like has fascinated me since probably the first time we spoke is your ability to have these like random ass factoids like in your head.
Hmm.
The fact that you knew about this beaver thing, like I was like, what? How do you know
But
that?
you probably know a lot of things like that that I don't know. That if you told me, I'd be like, well, how
Probably,
did
but
you know that?
you're very good at okay, you're very good at not just the knowing, but like then the application of it in real life.
Yeah,
And I think that's what
that's
makes the storytelling and stuff like you're able to do that. That does not come naturally to people. Like they may know as more facts than you do, but it's the application of the
yeah.
facts and
And I
how
think it's
they're
through
used.
practice.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it's not something I was born with.
So do
It's
you
through
you
practice.
is it a cognizant like is it
Yeah,
a
I'm very
you're
aware
thinking
of it.
you are. Okay.
Yeah, like what ends up happening is I think most people watch a documentary or read a book or read a news or something like that, and it's just information and that's it, and it just sits there and that's it, right?
Mhm.
But what I started doing is in the beginning I went out of my way to try to connect the dots. And this, I don't know what Michael's going to think about this, but this is when I was heavily smoking weed.
It's like whatever, man.
Because what happens is when you smoke weed at night, like I only smoked weed at night. It help it helps you recount all of the things that happened that day, like
Mm.
almost to a fault. Where, fuck, I shouldn't have said that to this person. Like, and I would like worry about that for like an hour. or like, oh, when he said that, I should came back with this, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
So I
kind of
start
like
over,
replaying
hmm
the day.
and just
Okay.
reliving it, right?
Yeah.
And usually at that point, that's when I like almost like, because I'm just sitting there doing nothing but thinking for 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm just connecting those dots, right? But then after a while, it just become natural where I will watch a documentary, and when I see that fact coming up, like as soon as I hear it, it automatically connects to all the other knowledge I had. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
as soon as I hear it, it's like, that's probably why this happens. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm. Yeah.
So before it was a more of a it was like input, 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 and then I go home, I smoke weed, and then my thoughts would like kind of mix. But after doing that for a while, it got to a point where it happens live. As information come in, it just does it live. And do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and you know what? That's why you're able to retain it is
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you are
yeah.
connecting it to something. Yeah. That's exactly why. I mean, that's when the light bulb goes off, right? And then that's when you actually learn something and you don't just ingest it and then it's gone. Um and that's why I think like the application of new material is so important, not
Mm,
just like listening to a lecture or like doing a workshop. You have to like actively be applying it at the same time. Makes me think about like the video editing that we were talking about. If you had just like told me that shit and I never like actually like did it and struggled with it and applied it and connected the dots, there's no way I would retain it.
that's true.
Right? Cuz I could probably jump back into it, just need like a little refresher and be able to do it.
Uh,
Um but if you had just told me the information, there's no way I would have
uh,
retained it
uh.
without connecting the dots. So I think that's
Do
so
you also
important.
think that when you know when you know that you're struggling with this and you know you need to fix that, and then I give you the information, like is yeah, no, you think I think you're right, because let's say before you were struggling with that, I give you the information, you're still actively
Mhm.
listening. And the other way, in both times you're paying attention equally. It's not like in one you're paying attention more
Right.
intensely listening than the other. But in one case you'll retain the information, and in the other case you won't. So what is that like?
Yeah.
Because I'm like that too, right? Like I think everyone's like that.
Yeah, you need to struggle with it, right? You need to like
But I'm saying, let's
cuz
say,
I don't think there's like if you
bef-
gave me the answer,
yeah,
yeah, like if you I think
you
they
don't
are
want it bad
different. And
enough.
the No, no, no. Like if you just gave me the answer and you said, "Hey, this is just how you do it," and I had not struggled with it but first before you gave me the answer, then I think my ability to retain it, I wouldn't have
Uh-huh,
actually learned
yeah.
because I
It's
didn't
it's the
fail.
care. It's I think when you know you struggle with it and you need a solution for that problem, then you have a motive. You have a more reason to care for this answer. But let's say I was never even trying to do that, and somebody tells you this information. It's like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not editing video.
That doesn't pertain. Well, it doesn't apply,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It doesn't apply. But like you have to be intentional, I think. So like the beaver example that where you're intentional about connecting the dots, there is intentionality
Yeah,
required when you get that information,
yeah.
whether you care, you don't care, you're struggling with it or not. Like you have to connect the dots. Um
Yeah, what's the intention? Like, why do I want that information, right?
right.
That, like,
It's
and
like I could have read every parenting book on the planet. Okay? I've learned this. Like
like
I know
before
all this
parenting,
shit before
it,
I was actually a parent,
mhm.
right? I'm
It's
pregnant,
useless.
haven't had a baby. It's fucking
Yeah.
useless. Everything was useless until I was in the moment struggling with whatever it was, sleep, feeding, parenting a toddler right now. Like, and what is so useful right now is like seeing and why I like Instagram so much is like these experts are giving like um in real time information that I can go apply seconds after
Mm, mm,
watching
mm, mm.
their information because they've given me a scenario that I'm dealing with. Um,
But before, did you even seek
and then I
out that
can go do
information
something.
before you
No.
become? Yeah. So that's probably the main thing is that
Yeah.
if we don't care about a certain information, I think we just automatically block it out,
Yeah.
and we just automatically focus on the things that we care about. Because I have terrible memory.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean. Like,
I do too.
so when you said, "Oh, how do you remember those things?" I'm like, I actually naturally have really bad memory. So it's because I 100% remember the things I care about, and 100% forget the things I don't care about.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do too. I think that's why, like, I can remember something that, like, Michael said a year and a half ago and, like, remember the situation verbatim, but maybe I don't recall at all what we talked about this morning.
Uh,
Like, just depending on,
what it
like,
is.
what it was. Yeah.
Uh,
What it evoked, like, what
I was
kind of
just talking about
emotion.
that.
I wonder if, oh, well, I wonder, like, what the like, if the struggle is just, like, part of the learning process or if the fact that it, evokes emotion is why we remember it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
But for me,
emotion.
like, I definitely have a lot of emotion when I'm yeah, you think so?
Yeah, because I don't know if you heard Tony Robbins talk about this, but he says like, if I asked you what you were doing in the morning of September 11th, 2001, like you'll be able to remember exactly what you
Mhm.
were doing when those
Yeah.
first plane hit
Yes.
the twin tower, right? But if I said,
Y
what were you doing on September 10th of 2001? Like you have no idea because one is tied to an emotion and the other one is not.
Okay.
The
That
emotion
makes
is, I think,
sense.
what we remember. That's why I think trauma, like all of those things.
I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Pain
Makes
body.
sense
Have you
now.
heard
I'm
of
like,
that?
"Oh,
Pain
yeah."
body. Eckhart Tolle.
Is that, like, the concept about, like, your body's, like, holds on
Yeah, your body remembers those
to
traumatic.
all
Yeah,
the emotional pain? Yeah. Yeah. And I
yeah,
believe
me
that
too.
now that I really started getting into yoga. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, and therapy, yeah, okay, this all makes sense."
I believe all of
Um,
those things. Like even though what Eckhart Tolle is saying, he didn't explain anything like scientifically. All the stuff that he explains makes sense to me because I feel like I've personally experienced it, right? And
mhm.
that's why I believe it. It doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to show me any some sort of scientific evidence for me to believe it. But that's why I don't understand people who are um, like a lot of atheists that I talk to. They say, "Oh, I don't believe in God. Oh, I don't. I believe in like a higher power, but I don't believe in religion." That's what they say, right? But they're the ones that like read Eckhart Tolle and all of that shit, right? I'm like, so okay, so you
Very
believe in,
spiritual stuff, yeah.
so you believe in Eckhart Tolle, but you believe in the power of now, but you don't believe in the Bible, like because they're both at the end of the same thing, right? The reason why you believe in power of now
Yeah,
is because you resonate with it. You at a core, you've experienced it, right? And it's the same thing with the Bible. You don't need scientific evidence. Do you know what I mean? It's not the Bible's
right,
not trying to tell
yeah.
you science.
That's not that's
It's trying to tell
yeah,
you how to live.
exactly. Right.
So that's the myth truth. Like for me, a lot of atheists says I don't believe in the Bible or I don't believe in religion, but I believe in a higher power. I'm the type of atheist that will say I actually don't believe in the higher power because I've never fucking seen it, but I do believe in the Bible because I've seen it with my own eyes. Somebody wrote it. It wouldn't exist unless somebody wrote it. There's
Oh my
evidence right there.
gosh. There's
Show me an evidence of higher power.
oh my gosh. Hey, here comes sun coming at you. A sunism. That's one of the sunisms, man. That's evidence right there.
A lot
See,
of this, I
this is
think,
when we need those little like those drop. We need to drop these sounds throughout the podcast. These little isms, these sun isms.
A lot of it, I think, were things that I was thinking about during that period in, in my life. Yeah, like that's such a dangerous road to go down on, like just overthinking, because that route
Mhm.
can easily get you to a point where like those like goth teenagers, like where you just like become an anarchist and like
Yeah.
nihilist and like fuck the world and life is meaningless. Like,
Yeah, like a dark place, man. Like your mental health is is compromised.
and there are a lot of potheads that are like that, and it's like people say like weed is not like dangerous, but maybe it's not physically dangerous, but I think it's
Mhm.
psychologically very damaging. Just like any, I guess, social
No, I
media,
guess so.
alcohol,
Anything.
television, anything. Yeah.
Anything. Yeah. Anything can be exercise in my experience
I was actually thinking about that.
is like my yeah. Like I definitely use it um as a numbing. Like I'm realizing like how I've used it to not just serve my health, right? Like I'm using it as a way to
Mm.
escape my brain. Um so it's not really like overthinking, it's like finding a way to not be inside my brain for a second, because it's so physically demanding. So I'm just doing the bare minimum to survive, my heart rate being 170 and trying to like breathe. Um, at the detriment, and it's become the reason that I think it's a detriment is because, and my therapist believes that, and she's pointed it out, is just because I will exercise no matter what, right? Whether I've slept enough, whether I've eaten enough, whether I'm hydrated, whether my body just feels beaten
Yeah.
up, doesn't matter. Um, like I
How
will
did
do
it
it
How did
for
it get
that
started like that?
high.
Because there's
Um,
probably a point in your life where you weren't like that.
like I've always been a very anxious person. Was not an exerciser until after grad school, actually. Like um, that's when I really got into it. So maybe like 6 or 7, 8 years ago or so. Like, um, but I've always been very anxious and very stressed, and so I think I would put all that energy into mind-numbingly chasing a career, chasing an education, right? Like I would put all that would keep me very distracted. So I didn't have to really sit with myself, sit with my thoughts, because I just would burn the candle at both ends. Like I would wake up, go 6 a.m. to the hospital that I worked at, work until 6 p.m., do grad school until 9 o'clock at night.
Were you happy though?
So I was just like I don't think I didn't have time to just, there wasn't,
No, but looking back now,
there wasn't no, there wasn't time to know. No, like, because there is no way in hell I would go back there
mm.
ever. If someone said you could go back, you could do
I
that
mean
again.
that doesn't
No,
matter.
fuck
Like
no.
a lot of people that went to war says I'll never go back there, but it was the greatest time of my life. So it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
no.
Like when I say greatest
No,
time of my life, I
I
don't
will
mean
not.
in that way. I mean in a way that yes, like of course being there sucks, but it gave me a
You're
greater
right.
meaning in life or something like that. No.
No, not this.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. Um, I can see that now. I think at the time I thought I was,
So you weren't happy.
but then I think
You're happier now
no. So I wasn't
than you were back
happy.
then.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't seem right to me because for me, like I'll never be as happy as the first year I started Night Owl. Even though that first year I started Night Owl, I was broke, living out of the office in debt, borrowing money from family, sleeping in the air mattress, taking shower at the gym. Like I would never be as happy as that. And the reason why is because the most hardest times of my life were some of the happiest moments of my life, looking back. Like that time when I went hiking, like in 100-degree weather, and like even though at that
Right.
moment I was feeling like shit, like at the end of the day, it was like the when you're top of that mountain, right? It's like things like that.
Yes, and I think I'm just now seeing that because of the work I'm having to do. Because there's just like some painful stuff, and I think up until this last year, I did not. Um, I just wasn't. I didn't have the because I was like living in a fog. I didn't have the
To see
capability of
that.
like experiencing joy or pain.
Mhm.
And what is it they talk about? Michael, says this all the time. He's like the extent that you can um, feel pain is the extent that you can feel joy. So it works both ways. And so I am just now
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
seeing
Okay, yeah.
that.
But
Um,
okay, that's why I'm saying go back now in your mind. Go back to those times.
yeah, no,
So why were you doing it?
those are not happy times because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do, quote unquote. Definitely air quotes there, right?
I mean, I
Like,
can imagine being like that because I had a 9 to 5 job too, but I wasn't working my ass off. I was just barely doing minimum. Like when I was doing what I
yeah.
was supposed to do, I just did the bare minimum. It wasn't until when I started doing what I want to do, I started going all out. Do you know what I mean?
But I think I'm doing that now,
But
right?
you were
As it
going all
begins.
out even
Like,
when you were just doing stuff you didn't want to do.
that's just my natural, but that's my natural state. Like,
But are you doing it
even if
for
I had,
like validation? Are you doing it because out of the achievement, like, oh, look what all the things I achieved. Look, are you? So that's
yeah.
what's forcing you to do it.
Um,
The things that you don't want to do.
yeah, I'm very achievement
Okay.
focused. So like my Enneagram 3, right? So that's all about I mean, that is literally known as the achiever.
All right.
um, yeah, that's what it's called, is the achiever.
So
Um,
you like
so I
certificates?
can't do
You
something
like trophies?
halfway. Right. I mean, like yoga, right? Like I get to step
Oh
my
my
toe in
gosh.
yoga and now I've got to go all the way. I stepped my toe in um personal
Mhm.
branding, and now I've got to go all the way with Michael Brody Wait. Like I've got to know how Infusionsoft. I've got to know how the website works. I've got to know how to edit video. Like there's no Orange Theory Fitness. I was just a member, and then I end up within 3 or 4 years. I'm now a coach.
Mm-mm.
Now I'm the head coach. Like I quit my day job to go do it. Right. So I just have to go all the way. And I think a lot of that is just driven by, I think that achievement drive, this may sound weird, is actually driven by the fact that I did not want to feel things. I didn't want to feel emotions. I didn't know how to process emotions. I was not raised in a home that knew how to process happy emotions or sad
It's just the
emotions.
environment
There were
you grew up in.
no emotions. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like nothing is a big deal. And if it is a big deal, then there's something wrong with you. If you're happy and you're really excited about something, there's something wrong with you. If you're sad and you can't get over it, there's something wrong. If you're angry and want to have an outburst, that's wrong. Um, so I think this achievement drive came out of that. Um, and so everything I've done is like all in, burn the candle at both ends. Even like right now, in many ways, like I get up at 3 a.m. so I can go work out and then be mom all day.
It's
So,
your your life is a lot like how Koreans are.
oh, really?
Because
In what way?
because a lot of Americans are not like you. They don't feel this
Mm.
need to for achievements and things like that, and they're more about like enjoying life and you know things like that. Whereas in Korea, it is everything is about achievements, right? Like the reason why high school students study 20 hours a day just so they can get into college is because if you don't get into college, that's like a disgrace to your family. So they are constantly feeling that pressure at a young age, and you know,
And so you don't think that people feel pressure to achieve as much in America? Or it's not?
there's I think there's like 1% because America everything is it's more free, right? So there because of that, there's 1% of people that are way more driven than people in Korea. Like because I think you can't get the kind of like how Michael Jordan is, right? Or like how Elon Musk, you
Yeah.
can't get that kind of drive by force. That's something that's innate that they're doing it out of
Yeah.
desire, their own desire, right? Nobody can like force you to be that. you know.
No, that's true.
But
Cause I like, that's true.
what happens is in that environment, 99% of people are going to become more lazy. But that 1% of the people are going to change the world. In Korea, it's less like that, where you don't have that cream of the crop on top because everybody's just doing something they don't want to do. Everybody's a doctor, lawyer, well, whatever that they don't want to do. Nobody's going after their dreams, right? So we don't get that top 1%
Yeah.
in it. Like nobody will invent the iPhone. Once Steve Jobs invents the iPhone, Samsung will do a great job at copying it and making it cheaper and faster. And that's where
Yeah.
this forced discipline comes in, right? Like if you want
Mhm.
to produce something at mass scale and cheaper and faster, you do that by force. You know what I mean? But if you want to innovate and invent something
Mhm.
like an iPhone, where when everybody was looking at a phone like this, for you to be like, oh, actually, no, that doesn't have to be a phone. It can be a black box with an API on it, where developers all around the world can turn this box into whatever they want, a camera, a video game, whatever they want, right? To have that kind of innovative thinking is that can never come from force.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's just an innate, I do think it is like an innate thing that has to be cultivated in the right environment.
You mean the innovation part? It's no, it's
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is. It's freedom. It's the
What
freedom. That's why like
to do it.
a lot of people bash the
Yeah.
US right now, but that's really stupid because the way it works is
No, I know. I
the
know.
beauty of America, because like the United States was the big experiment, right? Like 300 years ago, people came here and they said, "What if we create a country where everything was just free? What would happen?" And 300 later, it became the greatest country in the world. Now, the reason why is because it partially is what I just said, right? Like when you're in a country where you're free to innovate, free to do whatever you want, that's when you're going to get that 1% of the people that are innovating like crazy, right? And then but partially it's because when you have a country like this, it attracts the best of the best from the rest of the world into this country. So I think like something like 50 or 60% of uh, grad students in US are foreign born. so what happens is US attracts the best of the best to come here to innovate, and once the innovation is done, it exports it back out to the world for the world to enjoy. Like 8 out of the 10 most watched shows around the world are American shows, like Sex and the City, like shows like Game of Thrones, things like that, right? And that's because there's no other countries in the world that can do that, because all the innovative writers, talent, all those people are all here. Because why? Their country won't let them do that. So that's why they came here.
Mm. Yeah.
So I mean, like, so you can blame the US
Yeah.
all you want of how bad we are, but without this country, none of this would exist. No iPhones would exist, like no, like no, there's no space travel.
Yeah.
like like all of these innovations happen here, right here. And just other countries just made it a little better.
Yeah.
another another
Yeah.
ranting.
We take that but I mean, we take it for
Yeah.
granted.
All these
Let's take it for
entitled
granted.
Americans, like, like a lot of Americans that are born here and that are like grew up in this entitled, world, that are complaining about how bad US is now. Like, like, yeah, US is so bad that I fucking left my own country, gave up my own citizenship to become a US citizen. That's how bad US is. Okay.
How long did you live in Korea?
When
When
I was
did you
like
move
11.
here? When you were 11. Okay. Are your parents
No, they're in
here?
Korea. And my sister's in Korea. I'm the only one
They're
here,
in
right? So
Korea.
obviously,
Okay.
like, they made the choice to go back, and I made the choice
They
to
went
stay here.
they went back. Okay. But they lived in
Yeah, yeah,
California until you
yeah.
guys were grown. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't grow up alone.
Oh wow. I know. But I didn't know that your sister went back
She
too.
just went back this
So
year
she teaches
because
there. Okay.
she was teaching at a university in Chicago, but she just left that
Uh-huh.
job, and now she wants to do her own thing
Okay. So why did you want to stay?
here. Because like for me, it was like no brainer.
Yeah.
What? I mean, come on, go up to any of those people who are complaining about how bad the U.S. is, and say, okay, then
Mhm.
leave. Like nobody will actually leave. Like those are all just talk, right? Like every election cycle,
Yeah.
every 4 years, I hear people saying, "Oh, if so and so wins, I'm gonna leave this country." Nobody ever leaves because that's how great this fucking country is. Like put your mouth
Really
where your money
is.
is, right? Like the way to
Mhm.
really prove that this country sucks is by leaving. Nobody wants to do that.
I don't want to leave.
Fucking entitled.
No. Okay, so that also needs to be a sonism. We'll just play that. Do that during your during one of your
Uh,
Instagram lives, like
it's
get a
it's kind of like the whole
question.
Google thing. People who are born into Google wouldn't know the value of
Yeah.
it. Like people are born in this country
No.
don't know the value of this country. You have to have lived in another country to understand the value of this country.
Yeah. Absolutely. I definitely I know it's valuable,
You
but I
take it for
don't
granted.
since I'm nothing yeah,
Mhm.
100% take it for granted because I don't know. I mean, I've traveled and I've seen some of it, obviously not but not fully immersed in like how um like truly
Yeah,
lucky we are to live here. Um
and it's also one thing to
and
travel and another thing to live there. It's one thing to visit Seoul.
right,
It's a completely different thing to live there.
right.
And when you live there, you
Yeah.
realize how great we have it here.
My brother lived there for like a year or two. He was
Oh,
deployed
really?
there.
In Seoul
Um
or somewhere?
yeah,
Okay.
in Seoul. Like he lived yeah. And then he would work the border, the
The really
North Korea
like the DMZ?
like
Yeah,
he would be near the border. Yes, DMZ. That's it.
some hardcore shit.
Um yeah. Yeah. But they yeah. From what he has said it was
It's like the one, yeah,
Not
it's
the
like the
most
base
pleasant
that
experience.
nobody wants to go to.
Yeah. And he would like be there when he would have to work the DMZ. Like, I guess they would go there for like an extended period of time and like camp.
Mm-mm.
And, you know, he was just like, man, that you just knew at any second, like you're just constantly
Alert.
like in this tension situation where it's like there is literally a line that we are hanging out on and staring each other down. Um, but anyway, yeah, he lived there. That's what he would always say. Like, just man, like you just don't understand how lucky we have it when he lived in Seoul, um, because he was there for so long,
So he's back now.
and obviously he served in the
Uh,
military, so he's very much like someone who will tell you how lucky you have it to live
yeah, yeah, yeah.
here.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah, he's back now. He just left the service like 6 months ago. He's been out for the last six
Okay.
months, but he he went in when he was like
Oh
17,
wow.
and he
Wait. So
is
how long? How old is he?
30 now. He's 30.
Oh shit. So he's like a career, like army dude.
Yeah. Mm. Yep. Yep. Career army dude. Yeah, for sure. Um.
yeah.
Yeah. I still don't know. I still don't know everything that happened to him, but I know it was a hard road to live on, and so I'm just like grateful that people like him do that for us. Like, it's just another
hmm
gratitude
hmm
thing, right? Like that doesn't. It's not all free. Like, there is a cost
Yeah.
to having what we
Well, it's
have,
not just
and that
in
cost
terms of
is
that. It's there's a cost. Like a lot. Like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, right? Like where a lot of American complains about Foxconn while buying iPhones, right? So they don't understand the cost of that,
right.
right? Just like we don't understand the cost of freedom.
Mhm.
We don't understand the cost of a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Like a lot of people, um, a lot of people hate hunters because like a lot of animal rights activists hate hunters, but they should actually love hunters
Hmm.
because like hunters understand the true cost of hunting and true cost of like these. So hunters never buy like food that are processed through the factory. They only eat meat. The only kind of meat they'll eat is the ones they hunted. So it actually makes it more sustainable because like hunters don't hunt like young animals, right? They hunt the animals that are dying, and they're actually much more aware than most people that are like active animal activists.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean that's such a highly regulated like industry anyway. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hunting, like yeah,
I think they also contribute like the
the whole
most.
food
Like
thing.
I think I heard this from Joe Rogan, but they contribute the most to environmental costs. You would never believe that, right? Like
Oh, no,
the
I do believe that because they're all into
yeah,
like wildlife, the
yeah.
environment,
It's
um
like the whole Roosevelt thing.
like being part of that
Yeah,
whole cycle because it is like,
yeah.
yeah, no, I totally believe that. Like, one of my good girlfriends, her husband's an
hmm
avid hunter, and he is very much into like protecting those areas. Like,
Yeah. They I think donate them.
he has much more knowledgeable than
Yeah,
I am.
they donate the most money, I think, to the wildlife preservation. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Meanwhile,
To me,
it's
that
like
makes
these
sense.
like fucking teenagers that are on the street that are like fighting global warming. They think that they're the ones that are doing shit. No, you put your money where your mouth is. Like these hunters are actually, donating money.
Yeah. It makes me think there's this girl on TikTok. There's probably several of them that she goes around New York City. It's somewhat
Uh-huh.
related, but she'll go to these stores that like will throw out their trash, like CVS, stuff like that, and it's like all good usable stuff, but they're just like
Hmm.
throwing it
On
away.
purpose.
Um on purpose, I guess. Probably like rules with the organization. But she'll like go dumpster diving essentially and just go through the big bags of trash and like she'll pull things out and take them to somewhere that it can be used.
That's pretty cool.
Um it's actually really cool to find much it okay, it's like breaks my heart like how much stuff that she finds, like food and um things that are very usable that a lot of people would be so grateful to have and they're just throwing it away. But it's really cool to see what she does with all of that stuff and,
It's like antiquing,
gives
like
it,
those.
donates it.
Is it like those shows where people take
Yeah.
like old furnitures and like fix it and make it nice and shit?
So she finds some stuff like that, especially like
Uh,
apartments that have been cleaned out and like maybe, the owner passed away or they've gotten evicted or something. But these will be like, pharmacies and like CVS or Walgreens or whatever, and they'll be throwing away just like usable things, like packages of food that haven't
mm-mm.
gone bad or books and it, just all very usable
Where
baby
I've
bottles,
never seen
like
that.
packaged baby
Where can I find
bottles.
that?
I'd have to it's I don't know. I'll have to send you her TikTok. Um
Like I know that
I follow
some
her.
restaurants
And
here throw out their food at the end of every day.
yeah, but that's like not like
Uh,
packaged food, right? Like this will be like bags and bags of
uh,
crackers and chips that are all like in packaging. That maybe it's like a day past the expiration, but I know plenty of homeless people or
so do
I'm
they throw it
sure
out at a
families that are struggling with
specific
grateful.
spot or just in the garbage can?
Yeah, just right outside their stores. Like she'll be
Oh,
standing right
I've never
outside the
seen that.
stores and there'll be, in New
Yeah,
York they'll like pile up all their
yeah, but
trash,
they're like
right? I
actual
guess it's like
trash.
trash pickup day. But yeah, well, they're in trash
Also,
bags.
I
It's
wouldn't
in
even
trash
know
bags, and
if it
she
was there.
opens the. You would, yeah, yeah, yeah. You wouldn't know, um, because she opens up the bags and she'll go through them, and like there were pacifiers, like things that are all in
Well, did
packages,
you hear about the Amazon
pacifiers,
thing?
baby
How
bottles.
Amazon destroys like tens of millions dollars of merchandise like every week. Have you heard of that? You should Google that like
Well,
right after this.
no,
So there was a video of uh this guy talking to this Amazon warehouse manager, and in this one warehouse in
yeah,
Europe, and this happens in all the Amazon warehouses, they were throwing out like hundreds of thousands of dollars of worth of merchandise, brand new one, still in packages, like that week, right? And he's
uh
saying that
huh,
that happens every week. So in total, like Amazon throws away like tens of $1 million worth of merchandise, brand new merchandise every year because it's cheaper than to just store it. And that's why you like it.
and they probably get. Do they get some kind of like write off or
No,
something because
no, it literally is cheaper
they
to
don't
throw it away than
then
to
to store it?
warehouse it. Yeah, and that's why when Amazon like has those, um, because every time I call Amazon about something, they always just give me a new one, like without even asking. Like,
Yeah, no,
I really think that their
they
profits
do.
are so high that like they're just throwing merchandises away. Like literally, like on the one that I
That just
saw, where they were throwing
sucks.
like out five like
Why can't
brand new
they?
TVs in boxes.
Why can't they give
Yeah,
it
no, that's what I said. Like they no, they were just like,
or
uh,
just give it away? Set
uh.
it out on the street. Let somebody have it.
I guess they don't because
Oh
then
my gosh, I was trying to find that gal.
I guess they don't. I mean, because it was kind of secretive for some reason. I think it actually like it actually better for their bottom line if they throw it away.
So there's like a whole like cult of people, not cult, I don't want to call them that, but like a whole group of people that like do this. So there's another girl I follow that she like goes to like TJ Maxx, Home Goods, these
Dumpster
like
divers. Yeah.
retailers, and goes in their trash, and there will be some things that have been like purposely destroyed, and that's so that the company can get like can on their P&L, on their bottom line, like say, oh, we had all these damaged goods that we had to throw away. Um and the
How does that help
like
them?
broken cups, mugs. Well, I mean, I would think it would help them from like a profit loss perspective, so they could like claim it
Loss.
as loss. Yeah.
Or maybe if they
Um
didn't sell it,
but she
maybe they'll just like destroy the ones that didn't
right, it's
sell.
stuff
Yeah.
that they didn't
And then like
sell.
ask the manufacturer for
Yeah,
like
no, that's
refund or
it.
something.
They something like that. And so she will go and she will find all this stuff, and then like she has a whole side hustle where she sells that stuff. Um so she'll go get it out of their trash and then sell it, donate it. Um
I haven't seen those.
her own
I've seen
little
ones where
hustle.
people will go to Amazon or sorry, Walmart, and they'll do a price scan and they'll
Yeah.
compare it to how much they're going selling on Amazon, and then they'll buy it and sell it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's total, and that's easy to do. Like I've seen
Yeah.
tons of people doing that. But it's like the dumpster diving where you're paying like
Uh-huh.
nothing other than your time to go get all this new shit and then
Yeah.
sell it. Um
That's just more fun to watch.
so or give
Hmm.
it away. Yeah. I mean, it is. It's great. Like she has all these runs. Like you'll see her like in the dumpster, and then she'll show you what she found. And um, it's a very entertaining TikTok. I will say
It's
that.
so funny how like
Um,
how selfish people are, right? Like nobody wants to give anything away, right? How we are selfish as people, but
yeah.
we love watching selfless acts, right? So obviously
Hmm.
there's something about selflessness that we're drawn to because Mr. Beast is the biggest YouTuber on biggest creator on YouTube, right? And the only reason why his channel is so successful is because his whole theme is about giving fucking money, like the whole million dollar home makeover and all of those kind of things is because we
Yeah.
love to see the face, like look on their face when they receive this
Yeah.
gift that's life changing. And there's something about that we just love so much, and that's why Mr. Beast is the number one channel, right? But we love watching it because none of us actually do it.
Very few people
Like
do.
you know
Yeah.
how great it makes you feel to see that. So why don't you do it? Like, it just logically makes no sense. You pay money for other people to do that,
That's true.
and you'll watch that, but you don't want to just do it for yourself.
But you won't do it. Oh, son, you ask all of these very thought provoking questions.
I mean, I think that's like a
Hey, what was it?
it's like one of those obvious ones. I think we all innately know it, but
Hmm.
it's become a cliche, right? Money doesn't buy happiness, blah 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 blah, all of that cliches. And what ended up happening is we just ignore it because it's a cliche.
Yeah.
When like yeah. I mean, I wish more people would realize
Well,
that.
what? Yeah, no. Hey, I was gonna ask you, what was it last week that we like ended on? I tried to
Yeah,
remember. I meant to go
yeah,
back
we were
and
gonna talk about
look because we
something.
were like, oh, we can have an entire. We were like, oh, we have an entire episode we could do on that, and now I can't remember. Maybe I'll have to go back and
We gotta do it next week.
do it for the next one.
We gotta do that
Yeah.
next week.
So this is episode like of our 50. What number is this? Number 4,
Hmm.
right? I still need to put up our like. I'm gonna get like a huge ass calendar or something to get like the
Oh yeah,
number,
so you can mark it off. Yeah.
put it up,
Uh-huh.
so I mark it off. Um, But yeah, I was trying to remember what we talked
Yeah,
about, and I can't
that's
now.
so funny because I was just watching it last night, and now I can't remember. We were talking about
I
okay,
can't go back and
so
watch
we were
it.
talking about the whole like why we don't why we ignore our strength, right? Like why we don't we're like this, but we want to be like this. And then
Yes, yeah.
we started talking about what was after that.
That's the problem, son. We can't remember.
I mean, because that was like already towards the end of the conversation, so that's why. uh,
It was. Yeah, I can't remember. We can go back and look or listen.
that last one, I this is why I love editing my video. That last one, I talk so much, like I was like, holy shit!
What's
I I I, I kept like
what's wrong
cutting
with
you
that?
off over and over again, and it's you know why I do that though.
Oh,
I know like a lot of people think I'm rude for cutting people off, but the reason why I do that is because you know a lot of times I'm like, oh, I just forgot, right? It's because like I feel like if I don't get it out right there, I'm gonna forget. Like it's a fleeting something that you're saying triggers something, and it's like a fleeting moment where if I
mhm.
pass, I'm not gonna remember anymore. So that's why.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I don't think you're rude at all. I do the same thing though. Cause like something I also think our brains work faster than our obviously than our
Mm-mm-mm.
mouth, right? So it, it it- it's just like all moving so fast that you've thought of something and like you're already starting to say it and maybe there was like a brief pause, but everything's just moving so fast. So I don't think that at all.
Yeah,
It's just like a normal
most people.
conversation. It's not like we're going in here and saying, "Okay,
Yeah,
say it this way."
like I think people are a lot better at being present during conversation than me. Where for me, during most
Mm.
conversations, my brain is going like so fast that and it tries to like retain the information like here's what I think in most conversations or when people watch a movie or something, I think most people are okay with just catching about 50 to 60% of it, and if they lost like the last 40%, they're okay with that. Like even when you watch a movie, right? Because so many times I watch a movie and she's like,
Mhm.
remember in this movie when they did this, and be like, oh, I totally forgot. I'm like, that was like such an important part of the story.
Yeah.
Like how can you forget? But like that's how people are. But I'm like I need to understand 100%, right? Like if I miss a line, I need to go back and rewatch it or something like that. And with conversations like that too,
Yeah.
so when that thought comes up, I try my best to try to retain that information without forgetting. But it's hard because there's something else that we also talked about 5 minutes ago that I need to like book and close it on. And I meant to ask you about
Yeah.
this, so I need to remember. Like, so there's so many information that I'm holding at the same time that sometimes I can't hold it anymore. I just need to let it out, which is really bad.
Let it out. What if you what if you had like pen and paper? I think that's what I need to do. I need to like have a notebook right here that way I can like cuz I'll be thinking of things while you're talking and then I'll forget
Or
them. I need to just like write down a
for
word.
me, I think it's more about I just need to let it go. Okay, it's okay. I don't have to talk about that, or I don't have to get on that point.
Mm.
Let's just be present and see, go with where the conversation's going, rather than feeling like I need to close this conversation before moving on another. No, I don't need to. Let's
Oh,
just move on
yeah.
to the next conversation. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let
because
it
that drives
go.
me crazy. If I'm like, "Oh, I know I should have made this point," like you,
That is
you
hilarious.
don't get like that. Oh,
No.
okay, yeah.
Mm-mm.
So it's more, yeah, it's more me thing.
No, I don't. No, no, no. Not not in no, actually. I was going to say maybe there are situations where it's like that, but and maybe those are like isolated where I have like a distinct amount of time then I have to make a
Mm-mm.
point or there's only going to be one
Like an interview or
interaction,
something. Yeah.
right? There's not going to be another. Like an interview is a good example or some type of
Mm-mm.
negotiation situation or like a coaching with an employee where there's going to be limited interactions. Um,
That those are the times that you should
but
really let go, though, in my opinion. The most, because those are the most crucial, like job interview, client, sales client meeting, coaching
mhm,
calls. Like those are like really crucial moments, right? Where you have limited time and you have to make it count. I actually think those are the moments when you should let go the most because those are the moments when people try the hardest, try to do what you're saying the most, and they
mm,
just fuck it up because they're
yeah.
not being themselves. They're just like, you know what I mean? They're just so in their head during the whole presentation or the whole meeting instead of just being in the meeting. So,
Okay, so I agree. I agree. I think I what I have to do is I because in some of those like there are points that I want to make. There are three things that I know I need to cover in that conversation. And if I don't have it written down what those three things are, because I am so go with the flow, because I think I let go too much, then I will forget to even talk about the three things. And I'm like, oh shit, that was my chance. Like I did need to talk about these three things. Um,
but that's different
so for me, and
because one is
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah. It's not the
presentation or
like,
teaching or something like that, where if that is the thing that you're doing, you need to be prepared on your material, obviously. Like if you're a comedian, you need to prepare your jokes. But the thing is, I'm
yeah,
talking about it in a meeting where like job interview, first date, where it's not really something that you're that needs to be packaged and
yeah,
organized, right? It's more of an interaction.
yes,
In those kind of scenarios, it's better, even if you're like, okay, I need to make sure in this job interview, I need to touch on this, this, this. It's actually better if the conversation is going this way, that you just ignore that and just double down on
mm,
what this guy wants to talk about. Even though you prepare all this, and
yeah.
that'll actually go 10 times better outcome wise. But
No,
that's
I
the
agree.
moment when
I can
people,
see the
those are
delineation.
the moment when you should let go the most. But those are the moments when people hold on the most
Yeah.
because it's at the stakes are so high. My first date, I need to impress
Well,
her.
yeah, and the fear. There's just like so much fear, and I think you get hyper focused on all of these things, these what ifs, these where is this going to go? How is this going to happen? Uh, is everything going to work out the way that you want? And you're like gripping to this idea of what should be. And I completely 100% agree with you that it's the moments when we can let go that things come to us that we could have never
Hmm.
imagined coming. Um, because I will say in my experience in life, like when I white knuckle or like I'm gripping, that's just how I describe it is like when I am gripping towards an outcome, um, it
It
doesn't
never
always
works.
work the way that I thought. Yeah, like I'm trying to think of a time that it did. I actually can't. But I can tell you like there that the way that life unfolds. Like this podcast for example, right? If I was gripping towards some outcome like, oh, we're going to make
Mm.
thousands of dollars a month in sponsors or like these outcomes and I was just gripping towards it, then I would not be able to sit here with you and just have a
Yeah,
conversation because I would be so fucking focused on this outcome that I don't even know if that's the outcome that I actually want.
yeah, exactly. You can never
Like,
control.
I,
The world is
um,
the reason why like none of those like studies and like research things don't really work is because the only way to really know a study is accurate is if it's something that's replicable in the exact same environment, right? But the real world is not like that. In real world,
mhm,
there's thousand different things going on that affects that outcome. So there's no way you can ever like expect, like there's no way even Mr. Beast cannot predict what's gonna go more viral or not. You know what I mean? It's because there's
Right.
just so many factors at play. And the sooner you realize that, and when you try to control that thing, that's what I talked about yesterday in my Instagram stories, is, you know, yeah, I think when you try to control it, I forgot what I was going to say. I lost. It was one of those things I lost.
Well, I think it's like not nearly as first of all, it's a miserable experience in my
Yeah.
from what I've had happen to me. Um and second is that you can't see what's possible. Like you lose sight of like your
Mhm.
vision becomes so narrow when you get focused on this outcome that you're gripping towards. It is so narrow. Your ability to dream up what could be possible is hindered
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
significantly. And it is when you let go. And man, it sounds so fucking cliche. Like I'm hearing myself say this, like just let go. And like the possibility is something you could have never ever
Well, here's like a.
imagined. And I'm not even saying like it's nothing like big or small
Mhm.
either. I'm not saying it has to be
Yeah.
this big fucking thing either. Like I'm not saying there's these big fucking
Well, here's
outcomes.
like a
Like
practical way
it's
to say it, because people just say that, right? Just let go, blah blah blah, and that's become a
yeah.
cliche. But just think about this, right? Oh, fuck, I forgot again. Yeah.
There is a much simpler way to say it, I'm sure. Um
Oh, here.
but I think if people just like looked back and reflected.
So a lot of
Go
times,
ahead.
a lot of creators and marketers do this. They'll put out information and they'll blame the audience.
Mhm.
Like, let's say, Michael would do this, and like, oh, people are not listening to the three principles. They just want to hear me talk about inspirational stuff, right? Like, they're like, people are so
Yeah.
stupid. I need to change them. I need to change the market. I need to change the world. People are so stupid. People are so stupid. They don't know good music from bad music. I need to make sure they understand good music. People are so stupid. They love these stupid movies. They don't love these smart, like Oscar movies. Like, they blame the audience, right? So what you're trying to do there,
Mhm.
you're trying to force you're trying to force the market to adapt to you. You're trying to force the audience to adapt to you by posting this good content that in your eyes is good content, or marketing this thing like the way you market it, thinking it's, this is what everybody needs, when the market is telling you, no, I don't fucking want that shit. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's following you. Nobody's liking your posts. The world is telling you that. Now, there's two things you can do. You can let go to the world and say, okay, I'll just give you what you want. Or you can sit there and try to control it by saying,
Mhm.
you guys are stupid. You don't know what. Like, no, I'm going to continue to make it my way because my way is the right way. That's delusional. Like,
Mhm.
that's not letting go. Right? But you'd be surprised how many people do
Yes.
that. You'd be surprised how many people.
No, I would not be. I know a lot of people do that. I have done that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've done that,
I do
right?
it all the time.
Um um so I'll give you like a kind of a real life example. It's like the one um man, it's the one that stands out probably because it's one of the most expensive um that I've experienced, but Michael and I weren't married yet, but the home that we lived in before this house, we were definitely like we could not let go of this idea of having this house, right? We just had to have this house. And man, we were getting like so many signs from the universe that this is not the house
Mhm.
that you need to buy, right? Like um a lot of little
Yeah.
difficulties along the way that in a normal house buying process aren't difficulties. And it was like things in the inspection came up, then the owner started to act really like aggressive on small stuff, but we kept overcoming those because we had to have this
You
house,
saw
right?
the
We're
red
like
flags. Yeah.
white knuckling this house. Like We like saw the red flags and we're like, yep, we're gonna go ahead and take those. But then the one red flag that popped up that I still can't believe that we overlooked was we were offered right we had a contract on the house a couple weeks before we were supposed to close. We were offered $100,000 to not sign the contract and to give it to someone else, and we said no because we had to have it. And we were so focused on this outcome, and that outcome kicked our ass financially, mentally
People do
for
that with
5 years. And
houses.
it was a great
It's
house
so
and I
weird
love it,
that
but
because there's two types of people buy houses, right? The investors who buys like the shitty apartment complexes in the Bronx so they can rent it out for profit, and then there are people, real estate investors, who buy their own
mhm,
house, right? But when it comes to their own house, people are so emotional that they make such illogical
mhm,
decisions. And this is so meta, but I know a lot of real estate agents, and it's the same thing. A lot of real estate agents try to hold on to the fact that, um, like the numbers, right? This house, this per square feet, it was built here, and all the specs and pricing as well. But the thing
mhm.
is, most buyers don't give a shit about that, right? For a lot of buyers, it's very
Yeah,
emotional
it's so
experience,
emotional.
right? And yeah,
Every house I've
and
ever
ninety
purchased,
nine
yeah.
percent of real estate agents don't understand that, and they try to force it like, oh, this buyer's so stupid. They would it would have been much better if they bought this house, but they try to force it, right? Whereas there are real estate agents that are more let go style, and as soon as they see that about a
Mhm.
client, they'll ignore this house and they'll try to sell them this house by selling on that emotional
Yep.
attribute, right? That even though that person very well knows that that's a bad investment and this is actually a better investment. So there are real estate agents that are like, no, I have my pride, and I'm a good real. I have my, I have my reputation to look for. I will not do that to a client, right? But the fact is, the client wants that. They know they're making the stupid decision, and that's what they want, right? So by you doing that,
Right.
they're
And
not gonna
so
go through you and say, "Oh, thank you so much for making us see it." They're not gonna do that. They're just gonna be like, fire you and go with
right.
someone else. Like the sooner you realize
Go
that,
with someone
sooner
else,
you let
right.
go and realize that, the better it is for your career.
100%. As a real estate, like I can I completely agree with you. They're not going to remember you because you saved their ass on that real estate investment. Like they're going to remember because you didn't deter them
Hmm.
from this house that made them
They made you, yeah.
so happy, right? The emotion, um, just like we started this off with, is like the emotion and how much of our decision making is tied to it, and our learning and everything is tied to our emotion. Um, because I don't know, definitely remember that house very vividly because
Yeah,
it evoked so much
yeah,
emotion.
yeah. We need to understand. I
But
guess we need to understand emotion, and that's emotion is what I think controls the world. And 99% of us,
mhm,
we think it's the information, the data, the logics, but it's actually the emotions.
yeah, and I think that's especially true for creators. Like your vlogs that you've been doing on Instagram. I don't know where else you're doing them, but like I texted you and I was like, dude, I love watching this. And there was like nothing phenomenal. Like there wasn't anything I was going to learn from it or whatever, but I loved watching the emotion of the motorcycle
Mm-mm.
story and like, oh shit, what did he do? Seeing the love between you and
Uh,
Gigi, right? Like wow, to have a partner like that. And then um when you guys went to get the chopped cheese, same kind of thing. Like what I I mean, I was hooked. And it's not because I like love and admire you both. It was because I was just like, "Oh man, okay, what's going to happen? What's going to
Oh, I
happen?
should do
Are
keep.
they going to be able to find it at the first place? Is it, yeah, is it going to be good? Um, what's it going to taste like, are they not going to like it? Are they going to have to look all day? And so I felt like I was on this journey with you guys. Um,
That's why vlog
and
works.
a lot of that was like evoking emotion.
I mean, people should do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And it wasn't, yeah, but they have to be able to tell the story like you do.
But I think that's something that you
That's the
learn
thing.
over time. Because I would say in my life,
Yeah.
I probably made like 20 videos, and that's the result of me making 20 videos, right? Like I become a certain level of a storyteller, right? But the reason why I want to keep doing the vlog is because if I do
Mhm.
it for that every day for a year, imagine how much better I would be. Like,
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, yeah, if it's already this good, I can't imagine how much better it's going to get. Like, but but it's so simple. Um,
it's knowing what to show when.
and there's nothing.
It's knowing what to show
Yeah.
when and what. I think the most important thing that people don't realize is what not to show. Because a lot of people see vlogs and
Mhm.
Instagram story as just showing everything that happens in your day, but it's actually about omitting the stuff that. Because like when you, the beautiful thing about when you watch a TV show where somebody goes through a montage where they've trained from this 6 months, going from like skinny to like jacked, and you see that montage, that 6 months of hard work in 10-second montage is what makes it amazing. That I don't have to wait six
Right.
months, that I can see the before and after right away is what
Yeah.
makes it amazing, right? So you shooting 6 months of and showing
Yep.
6 months is not like it's about omitting. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's knowing what not to show, and like that's what
And you know,
I
storytelling is the same thing.
uh
Like when I work with clients, they want to tell their whole life story. They want to talk about this time that they were in India. They want to talk about this time when they were, you know, in charity here. They want to talk about this. It's like,
right.
no, I know you want to show off,
No one
but
cares.
I want to. You want to show off your credentials and all of that, but it's about omitting.
Well, yeah. Well, and I mean that's what Michael has had to learn a lot of. And it's not because he wants to show off. He is the least
Hmm.
he is not a show off kind of person. Um it's realizing what um what attributes of that story are going to be pertinent to you. And there are things that are like very personal in your story that are pertinent to you, but honing your story to display and to tell people what's going to be pertinent to them where they can see themselves. I think that's part of like what happened for Michael when we started the TED Talk writing. I mean, like those stories were long as shit, and he had like a 60-minute talk that had to become 18 minutes. So the constraints were what were so powerful in allowing him to refine it and keep just getting rid of like what didn't actually matter, what didn't
Hmm.
pertain to the audience. The same thing with like your vlog, like um, you're showing us like the
Hmm.
pertinent details and telling a
Hmm.
story like along the way with like the pertinent things that I can see
Hmm.
myself in
It's called killing your
traveling
darlings.
there.
Like a lot of times, what YouTubers, they'll shoot these beautiful footage, drone shots, and all of these things, and they want to keep it all in. Like, oh shit! Like I'm so proud of that shot, and they want to keep. When that actually delays the story,
Yeah.
it drags out the story. Right? It was completely unnecessary for the story. In those kind of scenarios, you have to kill your darling. Those are your darlings, right? And a lot of people do that when they write too. They want to include all of this because
Hmm.
like they're just like they're in love with that, and but you have to kill your darlings. You have to, and that's the hardest part about creating. And but
Hmm.
it's probably the one where most people struggle with.
Absolutely. I took like a copywriting class and they
All
focused
right,
on
yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
that was like a whole like section was about how
Which copywriting class?
do you actually need those. Man, it was on some like
Like Skillshare type.
learning plat Yeah, it was like on a platform. And the guy was like really good. He was a journalist.
Journalists are really
Um,
good
I
writers,
have to go
actually.
back and look. But I mean, some of the like just like the tricks and stuff that he was able to share just helped me like simplify and like to say a whole lot more with a lot less. Um,
It's also because I think
and
when most people give a TED talk or they they tell a short story or something like that, they they don't realize that they think their goal is to provide as much value as possible, like jam-packed value to the audience. But what they don't realize is that
mhm,
your actually goal is not that. Your goal is to um, have them walk away with just one idea, one light bulb moment. That's it.
yeah,
So, and the more you add, the
that's
more
it.
you're
Yeah.
going against that, right? So, to understand that in this talk, my goal is to do this. And then if they want to know more, then there's something else where I can do all of that to actually make a difference, right? But that's not the
Yeah.
time and place for TED Talk. That's not the time and place for a vlog video. That's not, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Right, because then I think and that has been like the biggest struggle like with Michael is because he's like so much further down the
Uh,
road in what he's teaching, obviously,
mhm.
because he's the expert in what he's teaching, that
And
it's really
sometimes you
hard for
need
him
to
to
do
get
that,
back to
right?
that place when he knew
I'm sure
nothing.
when he's a sponsor, when he
Yeah.
works with somebody who's it's their first week versus somebody who's been in for 10 years, the way he talked to this person is going to be different than the way he talked to this
Right.
person, right? But for some reason, people don't realize that. Okay,
Mhm.
when you go on a TED stage, this is what you're doing, and when you write a when you're on a podcast, this is what you're doing, or when you write a book, this is what you're doing. There's a difference. Yeah.
This right. There's a difference. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard
Easier
though.
said than done.
It's way easier said than done. Like
What
way
we
easier
have
said than
this,
done. I think we forget how much we
yeah,
know.
we have. I think most people have this innate need to be heard, especially in today's society where it's like it's so hard to be heard, right? Because there's just so many voices out there, and it's
Mhm.
just killing people. It's just like driving people crazy that because there's just so much advice, information available out there that nobody's listening to me anymore. Like even my own family, my own friends is not paying attention to me, right? Like, and that drives people. The fact that we're not being heard is driving people crazy.
Mm. Yeah. And so they just get louder. Man,
Yeah.
that's a whole nother podcast too. Like, why do we always end on something
that's
that's like
why
a whole nother
that's why people
episode,
do
man?
2 3 hour podcasts, because about 40 minutes hour in is when things just start to get warmed up. But we don't.
I know. It's like we need to start talking
Uh,
like before.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that. You got vlogs to go make.
All right, I guess. Oh shit, it's 11:30 almost. Okay, let's wrap it up
Hmm.
here. Great talk.
And I'm gonna go back. Yeah, great talk. I'm gonna go back and see what we talked about last week, and we'll start next week maybe with that if we're so
Yeah.
inspired.
If you want to do that, you're gonna have to make it up. You're gonna have to make it work. You're gonna have to like bring it up.
I know. I know.
Forget.
I'm gonna go back and look.
Cool.
I know. I forget
All right.
everything.
See you next week.
Thanks, son.
Thank you. So good to see you.
You too. Bye.
Okay.